For 7 days, you will vanish from who you are. Not through magic, nor through wishful thinking, but through cold design, in a world where weakness is mocked and hesitation devoured. This transformation is not about finding yourself. It is about creating a self that others cannot ignore, cannot predict, and cannot control. Men believe change comes slowly like the tide. They are wrong. Power does not wait. Influence does not knock. It seizes. If you remain who you are, you will remain prey. The world honors only those who master perception, conceal their vulnerabilities, and craft a mask stronger than flesh itself. In 7 days, you will not be the same. You will be unrecognizable. To your enemies, to your allies, perhaps even to yourself. This is not self-improvement. It is self-reconstruction, the art of shedding skin before the world sheds you. Enter this process as you are. Leave it as something far more dangerous. Power is never about truth. It is about the perception of truth. Do you believe men follow honesty? Look around you. They follow spectacle. They bow not to the virtuous, but to the convincing. The mask of power is the greatest weapon you can wield. Think of Caesar. The man was mortal, his body breakable, his mind like any other. Yet Rome saw him not as flesh but as legend, because he constructed the illusion of destiny around himself. When he walked through the forum, he was not a man. They believed he was fate in motion. His victories became inevitable, not because they were, but because he appeared as though they were. Appearance precedes reality. Those who control appearances control the minds of men. Now, ask yourself, what mask do you wear? Does it betray you? Does it reveal weakness before you even speak? Your enemies, your rivals, even your friends. Before they hear your words, they judge the expression in your eyes, the weight of your posture, the aura that you unknowingly project. If you do not craft it, they will craft it for you. And in that moment, you are no longer master of your own fate. Understand this: the world is not kind to raw truth. A man who walks with open vulnerability becomes a feast. People do not respect the honest beggar. They admire the proud liar who seems unbreakable. This is not morality, it is psychology. The mask shields you from being consumed. But more importantly, it makes others bend to your rhythm. Consider the diplomat who never reveals anger, though inside he burns. His mask of calmness unsettles the hot, tempered rival across the table. The rival rages, loses control, and shows his weakness. The calm diplomat leaves victorious, not because he was stronger, but because his mask was. Every mask you wear manipulates expectations. Want to be feared? Wear the mask of cold certainty. Want to be admired? Wear the mask of effortless grace. Want loyalty? Wear the mask of stern but unshakable reliability. Yet here is the paradox: the mask must never appear as a mask. If others sense it is false, it collapses. The illusion must cling so tightly to you that they cannot tell where your skin ends and the mask begins. How do you build it? Through discipline. You must rehearse. You must suffer in private to appear unshaken in public. You must bleed behind closed doors so that in the open you appear immortal. Psychologists call this impression management. Leaders, seducers, generals, all understand it instinctively. The human mind craves shortcuts, symbols, and images. People do not analyze deeply. They decide within seconds whether you are predator or prey, master or servant. Think of this when you enter a room. Your silence, your clothes, your eyes. These speak before your mouth ever opens. If you appear desperate, you will be treated as desperate. If you appear inevitable, others will treat you as inevitable. The mask is not a lie. It is a weaponized version of yourself. History remembers those who understood this. Napoleon wrapped himself in the mask of destiny, presenting himself as a man chosen by Providence. His soldiers believed it, even when the odds screamed otherwise. They marched not for Napoleon the man, but for Napoleon the myth. Even today, the corporate executive who climbs the ladder does not succeed because of raw competence alone. He succeeds because his mask projects authority even when inside he doubts himself. The mask precedes reality, and over time, reality often bends to the mask. But let me ask you, do you control your mask, or does it control you? This is the danger. The mask is a tool, but if you forget that it is armor, you risk mistaking it for your skin. You begin to live for the illusion, enslaved by the image you created. Many rulers fell not because they lacked power, but because they confused the mask with reality, and reality devoured them. So wear it with care. Wield it as a sword, not as a prison. Appear unbreakable, but know in private where the cracks lie. Because those who cannot separate mask from self are doomed to collapse when someone finally strikes deep enough to pierce both. Now consider this: if power begins with the mask, what must be done with the self that lies beneath it? Must it be hidden, transformed, or destroyed? That is the lesson of the next step, the death of the old self. Change does not come by addition. It comes by destruction. If you wish to become unrecognizable, you must first kill who you are today. Most men whisper of growth. They speak of gradual improvement, of small steps, of polishing the rough edges of their existing self. But polishing a corpse does not bring it to life. A weak identity cannot be made strong by decoration. It must be buried. This is the brutal truth. As long as you cling to your present self, you will remain bound by its limits. Your fears, your failures, your habits, they form chains around your neck. You cannot march forward while dragging the weight of yesterday. Do you think Alexander carried hesitation into battle? No. He burned hesitation from his soul before he crossed into Asia. He did not ask permission from the old self that feared risk. He silenced it. He executed it. And because of this, he moved with the certainty of one who believes there is no turning back. What about you? Do you still protect the identity that has failed you? Do you hide behind excuses of, "This is who I am," when in truth, it is who you once were? The man who clings to yesterday has already surrendered tomorrow. Psychologists speak of ego death, the painful shattering of the self-image that binds us. In religious rituals, men fast, bleed, and suffer to symbolically die before they are reborn. Why? Because the human psyche does not surrender its grip willingly. Your current self is jealous. It wants to live. It will whisper to you that transformation is too hard, too dangerous, too extreme. It will beg you to keep it alive. But remember this: that voice is not your ally. It is your enemy. Think of the snake. To grow, it must shed its skin. But shedding is not gentle. It is violent, exhausting, and necessary. If the snake refuses, the old skin suffocates it. The same fate awaits you if you fail to shed who you are. The old self is a prison guard. It watches you, binds you, keeps you obedient. You must overthrow it with cruelty, the same way conspirators overthrow a tyrant. History proves this. When Octavian rose to power, he did not remain the cautious youth he once was. He killed that boy. He fashioned himself into Augustus, the mask of divinity, the father of Rome. Had he clung to his timid self, he would have been swallowed alive by men stronger and hungrier. Instead, he murdered the boy in himself and ascended as an emperor. Your transformation demands the same. Do not ask how to improve your habits. Ask how to burn them. Do not ask how to silence fear. Ask how to starve it until it dies. Do not ask how to strengthen your identity. Ask how to kill it and rebuild it with stone. You cannot keep fragments of the old life and expect to be reborn. Half measures keep you half alive. If you wish to be unrecognizable in 7 days, you must become ruthless with yourself. You must betray your past self before it betrays you. Imagine this: tomorrow you walk into a room. Everyone expects the same version of you, the predictable, familiar, ordinary self. Instead, They meet someone colder, sharper, unyielding. Their eyes widen because the man they knew has vanished. That shock is power, and it only comes when the old identity is dead and a new one has risen in its place. But beware. There is danger here. Many attempt to kill the old self, but hesitate at the final strike. They try to live halfway, clinging to comfort while chasing transformation. These men suffer endlessly. They are torn between two selves, never truly one, never truly the other. Do not be one of them. Strike cleanly. End the old identity without remorse. Burn its remains so there is no path of return. Only then will your mind understand there is no going back. Ask yourself, who must die in you? The coward, the complainer, the dreamer without discipline? Name him, and then execute him. Because until you destroy him, he will destroy you. And once the old self is dead, what rises in its place? That is the next secret, the control of silence. Words are dangerous. They reveal, they expose, they betray. The fool believes that speech makes him powerful. He rushes to fill the void, to explain, to justify. But every word he utters arms another against him. He strips himself bare without realizing it. The wise man understands the opposite is silence is the truest weapon. Consider this when you speak. You give shape to your thoughts. Others can measure them, dissect them, exploit them. But when you withhold, you become unreadable, a shadow that cannot be grasped. What is hidden inspires fear. History is full of men who lost their crowns because they could not control their tongues. Think of King Louis XVI of France. Weak, hesitant, explaining when he should have concealed. His indecision bled through his words, and soon the mob smelled blood. He was not overthrown by steel alone, but by the exposure of his own uncertainty. Contrast this with another ruler, Tiberius of Rome. He mastered silence so completely that senators trembled in his presence. They never knew his thoughts, his judgments, or his intentions. In that void of uncertainty, they projected fear, and their fear became obedience. Ask yourself, which do you resemble? The man who blurts his soul to the world, or the one who forces the world to guess? Control of silence is more than the absence of speech. It is the art of forcing others to reveal themselves before you do. When you say nothing, the impatient man rushes to fill the air. He reveals his strategy, his weakness, his desires, while you remain untouchable. Think of a negotiation. The weak negotiator talks endlessly, hoping to persuade. The strong one says little, pauses long, and lets the silence suffocate the room. The other party begins to bargain against themselves, offering more than they must, simply to escape the discomfort. Silence becomes a lever of control. Psychologists confirm what rulers already knew: people fear silence in conversation. The human brain craves closure. When you withhold it, they grow restless, and in their restlessness, they expose themselves. Your silence is not empty. It is a mirror in which they reveal their true face. But here is the secret: silence must be chosen, not passive. It is not weakness, not shyness, not timidity. It is a weapon wielded deliberately. To sit in silence while trembling inside is not power. To sit in silence while commanding the tempo of the room, that is mastery. Even in your daily life, notice how often people give themselves away. They talk of their plans, their fears, their frustrations. They confess without torture, simply because silence makes them uneasy. If you remain quiet, you become the vault that holds their secrets. And he who holds secrets holds power. Yet beware. Silence can also condemn you if misused. If your silence feels awkward, it betrays weakness. If it feels empty, it reveals ignorance. You must learn to make your silence heavy, purposeful, filled with an unspoken authority. It should feel like a blade resting in its sheath, visible though unused. Do not mistake this for passivity. Silence is not retreat, it is ambush. It is the pause before the strike. Consider the general on the battlefield. The rash commander shouts orders at every turn, his men scrambling in confusion. The patient commander waits, conceals his intent, lets the enemy advance blindly. Then, at the decisive moment, he speaks, and his single command cuts like thunder. That one word, delivered at the right time, has more weight than 1,000 shouted in panic. Your own life is no different. If you flood the world with words, your voice becomes cheap. If you ration it, every word you choose will echo. So, I ask you, do you control your silence, or does silence control you? The difference decides whether you are seen as mysterious or forgotten. The one who vanishes into silence without presence is ignored. The one who shapes silence into tension is feared. This is the discipline you must learn. Speak rarely. When you do, make it decisive. Let silence build the stage so that your words strike like a sword. And yet, silence alone is not enough. To wield it effectively, you must cloak it in another armor, the cold detachment that denies others the warmth they crave. Because once silence has unsettled them, what will you give them? Not comfort, not closeness, but a controlled coldness that forces them to pursue you. Warmth invites exploitation. Kindness, when given freely, becomes a weakness that men sharpen their teeth upon. Look carefully at your own life. How many times has your eagerness, your friendliness, your desire to be liked, been repaid with betrayal? How often have your open hands returned empty? The lesson is not that kindness is evil. It is that kindness without control is fatal. Those who command respect, those who hold power, those who inspire loyalty, they do not suffocate the world with warmth. They ration it. They release it with precision, like drops of water to a thirsty prisoner. This is calculated coldness, the art of restraint in affection, the deliberate withholding of emotional warmth until it becomes more valuable than gold. Consider the predator in nature. The wolf does not wag its tail at every passing creature. It conserves its presence, reveals its fangs sparingly. Because of this, when the wolf does show loyalty to its pack, it is taken seriously. Contrast this with the dog that wags at everyone. It is loved by none, respected by no one. Which are you? The wolf whose presence commands awe, or the dog begging for scraps of approval? History shows the danger of uncontrolled warmth. Marcus Aurelius, though remembered as a philosopher king, was often seen as too forgiving, too merciful. His kindness allowed corruption to fester, and his own son Commodus, spoiled by excess affection, destroyed Rome's stability after him. The emperor's humanity, admirable in theory, proved disastrous in practice. Now consider another ruler, Ivan the Terrible. Fearsome, cold, merciless in demeanor, his subjects dared not cross him. And yet, when he did display a rare act of generosity, it shocked his people into loyalty. His coldness gave weight to his moments of warmth. Without that coldness, his kindness would have meant nothing. The same applies to you. If you give warmth endlessly, it becomes invisible. If you withhold it carefully, it becomes priceless. Psychology confirms this. Humans crave what is scarce. The lover who is always available becomes boring. The friend who never says no becomes unvalued. But the one who remains slightly out of reach, who withholds, who creates tension, becomes magnetic. This is not cruelty for its own sake. It is discipline. You must train yourself to resist the urge to over-give. Your instincts will betray you, pushing you to be liked, to be accepted, to prove yourself. But power does not come from pleasing. It comes from controlling the flow of your presence. Ask yourself, when was the last time you deliberately withheld your attention? When was the last time you let someone feel your absence, your distance, your silence until they leaned forward, desperate for your return? Most cannot do this. They fear being cold. They fear being judged as arrogant, aloof, detached. But it is precisely this fear that enslaves them. They believe they are gaining love when in fact they are giving away power. Calculated coldness flips the dynamic. It forces others to seek you, to chase the warmth you deny them. It makes you the scarce resource, and scarcity is the root of desire. But beware, coldness without calculation becomes isolation. You are not to freeze the world completely, for ice attracts no one. You must learn balance, offer warmth rarely, like fire in the darkness. Just enough to draw them closer, then withdraw before they take it for granted. In relationships, in leadership, in persuasion, this rule remains the same. Detach emotionally. Observe from a distance. Allow others to invest in you before you invest in them. In their pursuit, they reveal their loyalty. In your restraint, you maintain control. Think of the lover who never seems desperate, who does not beg, who does not cling. Their indifference becomes intoxicating. Or the leader who withholds approval, forcing followers to strive harder for a rare nod of acknowledgement. Both understand that restraint multiplies value. So, I ask you, will you continue to waste your warmth on those who do not earn it? Or will you weaponize it? Turn it into currency, and trade it only when it strengthens your position. Remember this: people do not respect those who need them too much. They respect those who can walk away. Coldness gives you that power. And once you have mastered coldness, what comes next? You must learn not only to withdraw warmth, but to withdraw entirely. Because absence itself, when wielded with calculation, can be more powerful than presence. Power is not always gained by advancing. Sometimes the greatest move is retreat. But do not mistake this for cowardice. Strategic withdrawal is not escape. It is weaponized absence. Ask yourself, why does a man's presence lose value over time? Why do kings, lovers, and leaders often become ordinary in the eyes of those who once revered them? It is because constant presence breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds contempt. What is always available is soon ignored. What disappears becomes desired. History is filled with rulers who understood this law. Julius Caesar, though adored by the Roman people, often vanished from the city for months at a time. His absence created hunger. Rumors grew, curiosity multiplied, and when he returned not as a man, but as a legend stepping out of shadow. His distance magnified his presence. Now contrast this with the desperate politician, always appearing, always speaking, always demanding attention. The people grow tired. His words lose weight. His presence becomes noise. Soon they forget him even while he stands before them. Do you see the danger of being too present? In personal life, the same law applies. The lover who clings becomes suffocating. The friend who never leaves is taken for granted. But the one who withdraws, calmly, without apology, creates a void. That void is powerful. It forces others to question, where is he? Why is he gone? When will he return? And in that questioning, your value multiplies. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle. Humans desire what they cannot always reach. When you withdraw, you become scarce, and scarcity creates demand. But beware, the withdrawal must be strategic. To vanish too long is to be forgotten. To vanish too often is to be seen as unreliable. The art lies in timing. You withdraw just long enough to create hunger, and you return just in time to satisfy it. Think of the military commander. The reckless one fights every battle, exhausting his men and resources. The wise commander withdraws when the cost is too high. His absence confuses the enemy, lures them into overconfidence. Then, when the moment is right, he strikes with overwhelming force. His withdrawal was not weakness, it was calculation. So too with you. When you step back, you allow others to reveal themselves. Your absence forces their true thoughts to surface. Your withdrawal becomes a mirror, exposing who values you and who only consumed you when you were present. Have you ever noticed how people only realize your worth when you are gone? That is not coincidence. That is human nature. Presence makes them blind. Absence makes them see. But let me ask you, do you dare to withdraw? Do you dare to let silence, distance, and absence speak louder than your words? Or are you too enslaved by the need to be seen, too desperate to be liked, too fearful of being forgotten? The weak cannot withdraw. They cannot bear invisibility. They crave validation, and so they remain available until they are drained, discarded, and despised. The strong understand that retreat is not defeat. It is preparation. It is a sharpening of the blade. It is the gathering of power behind a curtain, waiting for the right moment to reappear. Even in art, this law holds. A performance with no pause becomes unbearable. A speech with no silence loses rhythm. It is the spaces in between that give power to the act. Your life must be the same. Presence without absence becomes meaningless. So learn this discipline. Step back. Deny access. Make yourself scarce. Let others feel your absence like hunger. And when you return, do so with weight, with poise, with inevitability. For when you master strategic withdrawal, you master control of timing itself, and he who controls timing controls desire. But absence alone cannot make you invincible. To sustain power, you must not only vanish wisely. You must also forge a discipline so sharp, so relentless, that even when you are present, others feel your inevitability, because absence draws them to you. Discipline convinces them you cannot be broken. Strength is not in muscle. It is not in words. It is in discipline. Discipline is the iron law you impose upon yourself before you impose law upon others. Without it, you are a reed in the wind, bending, breaking, forgotten. With it, you are a fortress. You may be attacked, but you cannot be shaken. Do you know why men follow leaders? It is not merely charisma, nor wealth, nor promises. It is because the leader appears inevitable. Discipline creates this aura. It tells the world this man cannot be moved. This man does not yield. Think of Spartans at Thermopylae. 300 men against an empire. They stood, not because of numbers, but because of discipline. Their unity was unbreakable, their training absolute. Even in death, their discipline echoed louder than Persia's millions. The world still remembers them, not because they lived, but because they died without breaking. Now, compare them to the masses of today, men who cannot wake without their devices. Men who surrender to every craving, every impulse. They are slaves, dressed as free. Do you think such men inspire loyalty, respect, or fear? Ask yourself honestly, are you master of your habits, or are you their servant? Every craving that controls you weakens you. Every indulgence that dictates your choices robs you of power. The enemy need not destroy you. You will destroy yourself. Weaponizing discipline means more than self-control. It means transforming your restraint into an aura that others feel. When you reject comfort, when you deny distraction, when you pursue your path with relentless steadiness, people sense it. They believe you are unstoppable, even before you succeed. History proves this. Consider Napoleon. His soldiers followed him across frozen rivers, deserts, and mountains, not because conditions favored them, but because they believed their leader could not be broken. Napoleon's discipline, his ability to march farther, endure longer, push harder, made him appear inevitable. Armies crumbled before him, not just in battle, but in spirit. Your own life is no different. Those around you watch. They measure your will, your endurance, your restraint. If they sense weakness, they will test you. If they sense strength, they will bend to you. Discipline is not private, it radiates. Psychologists describe this as behavioral consistency. Humans trust patterns. When you act with discipline, people assume you will continue. They stop doubting you. They stop challenging you. They submit to the gravity of your steadiness. But here lies the deeper truth: discipline is not natural. It is forged. It is trained through suffering. It requires you to deny the easy road, to embrace the difficult one, to choose pain when pleasure is offered freely. The body resists. The mind protests. Yet every act of resistance strengthens you. Consider the monk who fasts, the soldier who trains, the scholar who studies into the night. Each one turns sacrifice into strength. Each one understands that comfort is the true enemy. Comfort softens the mind, weakens the will, and makes men easy prey. What about you? Do you choose the easy path each day, telling yourself you deserve it? Or do you forge yourself in difficulty, preparing to be unshaken when others collapse? Weaponized discipline is not merely self-mastery. It is strategy. When others see you refuse temptation, they doubt their own weakness. When they watch you endure what they cannot, they imagine you possess something beyond human. They fear you. They respect you. They follow you. Think of a commander who eats last, who sleeps little, who endures alongside his men. His discipline is contagious. His presence becomes a shield. No wealth, no bribe, no charm could achieve the same. But understand, this discipline without direction is wasted. A man who starves himself without cause is a fool. A man who trains endlessly without purpose is lost. Discipline must serve ambition. It must sharpen the sword of your intent. So, ask yourself, what ambition is worthy of your discipline? What future demands your sacrifice today? Because if you do not choose, your discipline will decay into habit. And habit without purpose is nothing. Remember, this discipline makes you appear inevitable. It creates the illusion that you cannot be broken. And in a world where perception is power, that illusion becomes reality. Yet, illusion itself is another weapon. For even when you are still in the process of transformation, you can cloak yourself in the appearance of greatness. You can convince the world you have already become extraordinary. Reinvention is not always real. Often, it is illusion. And yet, the illusion is enough. Men do not peer into your soul to weigh truth against deception. They judge by what they see, what they hear, what you allow them to believe. In this, perception outweighs reality. Consider this carefully. You do not need to become extraordinary in 7 days. You only need to appear extraordinary. And once you appear so, the world begins to treat you differently. Their treatment then shapes your reality. The illusion becomes prophecy. Think of Octavian, the frail youth who later became Augustus. At first, no one believed him fit to rule. He lacked Caesar's charisma, Antony's bravado, the strength of seasoned generals. Yet he mastered the art of illusion. He cloaked himself in Caesar's legacy, surrounded himself with symbols of destiny, projected an image of inevitability. By the time his rivals realized the truth, it was too late. The illusion had hardened into power. Do you see? Appearance precedes substance. Ask yourself, how would others behave if they believed you were already transformed? Would they treat you with greater respect, with fear, with admiration? And if they did, would that treatment not accelerate your true transformation? Psychologists call this the self-fulfilling prophecy. The roles people assign you often become cages or crowns. If they treat you as weak, you begin to act weak. If they treat you as formidable, you begin to act formidable. So why not seize control of the image they project upon you? Illusion is a tool of manipulation. But unlike lies, illusion need not collapse. If you can sustain the image long enough, reality bends to it. Think of the man who decides to reinvent himself as disciplined. He begins to rise earlier, to walk with purpose, to speak with restraint. At first, it is performance, an act he struggles to maintain. Yet others see it and begin to believe it. They call him focused, disciplined, formidable. Their belief feeds him. Soon, the performance becomes truth. This is the power of illusion. It buys you time until reality catches up. But let me be clear, illusion is not deception without strategy. A man who pretends without foundation collapses quickly. If you claim greatness without proof, you are mocked. If you promise strength you cannot sustain, you are exposed. Illusion works only when it is close enough to truth that others cannot pierce it. It is like armor painted to resemble steel. If the enemy never strikes too hard, they will believe it real. If you buy enough time, you can forge the steel beneath before anyone dares test it. Ask yourself, what illusion do you need now? Do you need to appear colder, stronger, more disciplined, more ambitious? Choose carefully, and then embody it outwardly. Walk, speak, and act as though it were already true. Let others believe first, and let their belief carve the path for your transformation. History remembers countless men who weaponized illusion. Hannibal appeared invincible, not because he could never be defeated, but because he convinced Rome of his inevitability. Even after setbacks, his legend kept the Romans in dread. His image was larger than his armies. In politics, in war, in love, the principle remains the same. If you appear transformed, you are treated as transformed, and treatment shapes reality more swiftly than truth does. Do not underestimate this. Many will wait for change to be complete before showing the world. They will say, "Once I am ready, then I will appear strong." These men remain hidden, waiting forever. The wise know that readiness is a myth. You do not wait for change, you project it before it exists. Yes, you will feel the tremor of doubt inside. Yes, your old self will whisper that the mask is false. But the world cannot hear that whisper. The world hears only what you project. So, begin now. Stand differently, speak with restraint, act as though your discipline is already carved in stone. In time, it will be. Because illusion, when wielded with precision, becomes indistinguishable from reality. But even once you have mastered illusion, there remains one final step. Transformation is not complete until you sever every tie to the man you once were. Not only must you wear the mask, kill the old self, control silence, wield coldness, vanish strategically, and discipline yourself into inevitability. You must finally become unrecognizable. To become unrecognizable is not merely to change. It is to sever the very memory of who you once were. Transformation without erasure is fragile. For as long as the old self lingers in the minds of others, you remain chained to it. They will call you back into weakness, mock your attempts at strength, and whisper, "You are still the same." And if you do not destroy that ghost, you will begin to believe them. Ask yourself this: when Caesar crossed the Rubicon, did he resemble the quiet politician of his youth? Or had he become something else entirely? So vast, so inevitable, that the man he once was no longer existed. His enemies could not even imagine him returning to a lesser role. He had burned the bridge to his past. That is what it means to be unrecognizable. But how does one achieve it? You must first kill familiarity. When people see you, they must feel the unsettling sense that they no longer know you. Your gestures must change, your words sharpened, your silence more deliberate. Do not announce your reinvention. Let it strike them coldly when they realize the man before them is not the one they thought they knew. This unsettles them, and that unsettled feeling is power. Consider the prisoner who is released after years of captivity. He steps into the world hardened, eyes sharpened, movements controlled. His family, his old friends, they look upon him with unease. They want the man they knew, but he is gone. In his place stands something unrecognizable. That distance becomes his weapon. Psychology confirms this. Humans build mental models of others, fixed patterns they cling to. If you behave as they expect, you remain imprisoned in their model. If you shatter it, their minds scramble to adjust. And in that disorientation, you seize control. So, become the dissonance. Do not fit their expectations. Redefine the role they have assigned you. Force them to treat you as new, because they no longer recognize the old. But this requires ruthlessness. It means abandoning old circles, severing ties that drag you back. You cannot become unrecognizable while still dining with those who laugh at your former weaknesses. They will chain you to the past, not out of cruelty, but out of comfort. You must refuse that comfort. History teaches us this again and again. Alexander did not rise to greatness while playing the obedient son. He demanded a new identity, one so unrecognizable from his boyhood that even Aristotle's lessons seemed too small for him. Napoleon, too, shed his Corsican accent, reshaping his very speech to craft the illusion of inevitability. Both understood that to rise, one must vanish from the past self. And you? Do you dare do the same? Do you dare step into a room of those who once underestimated you, wearing an aura so sharp they do not recognize the man they once mocked? Do you dare cut the ties that pull you into mediocrity, knowing that isolation is the price of transformation? Unrecognizability is not for the timid. It is not a mask. It is a rebirth born of violence, the violence of killing the old self. But once achieved, it grants absolute freedom. No one can call you back. No one can remind you of weakness. For they no longer know who you are. The ancient strategists understood this principle of war: destroy the bridge behind you. Leave no path of retreat. Force yourself forward by necessity. In life, becoming unrecognizable serves the same purpose. You erase your retreat into the past. You leave only one direction, forward, into the self you have forged. Remember this: to be feared or respected, you must be unpredictable. To be unpredictable, you must not be known. And to not be known, you must be unrecognizable. This is the final key, the culmination of all others: the mask, the silence, the discipline, the illusion. All were preparation for this, total erasure and rebirth. If you succeed, you will not merely have changed. You will have ceased to be who you were. And the world, seeing something it cannot name, will bow to the unfamiliar. So now I ask you, will you step into that final fire? Will you burn what you were, so that what you become cannot be compared, cannot be diminished, cannot be chained? Or will you cling to fragments of your past and remain half transformed, seen, remembered, and ultimately defeated? The choice is yours. But know this: power belongs only to the unrecognizable. Power is never seized by force alone. The sharpest victories are won when your hand remains invisible. Control is most absolute when others believe they act freely. They walk the path you design while thinking it is their own. This is the essence of mastery. Not brute dominance, but silent direction. Ask yourself, who around you already pulls your strings? Whose influence do you mistake for your own will? And more importantly, when will you reverse the game? Remember, those who see power openly resist it. Those who do not see it, obey it without question. This is the dark advantage. And those who wield it rule quietly over those who never suspect. Now, if you desire more of these strategies, subscribe. If you wish to sharpen your own cunning, comment below. And if you want others to awaken to this truth, share this video. The world belongs to those who dare to move unseen.